Fractions to decimals. First, let's make sure we understand what this fraction is and how I want you to understand my fraction. Here we have 3/5. It is, as long as we know that this fraction, bar, it means to divide. So I do have 3 divided by 5, and it also asks how many times can 5 go into 3. So how many times can 5 go into 3? This is what this fraction means. It is 3 parts of 5. Okay? So we are dividing. That division bar, I am going to divide. So let's divide and see what we get. So 3/5, which is how many times can 5 go into 3? So you look there and you go, well, 5 can't go into 3. I don't know what else to do. I don't know where to go. Well, remember, we're trying to get to a decimal. So in order to get to a decimal, well, we have to have a decimal. So there is always a decimal behind every single whole number. We might not see it, but it is always there. It always exists. You put your decimal in the right behind your 3, and we're going to bring it up as well. So I know that 5 cannot go into 3 0 times. Obviously, 5 times 0 is 0, and when I subtract, I still get a 3. Well, what am I going to bring down? I don't have anything to bring down. Well, think of money. You have $3. You have $3 and a decimal. What numbers are after that 3? There's always something that represents nothing, and those are zeros. So I'm going to bring down that 1 0. Can 5 go into 30? It sure can. 5 can go into 30 6 times. 6 times 5 is 30. So here is my decimal. My 3/5 equals 0.6. That is equivalent. That is equal. Let's try another one. Let's start with 1/8. Okay? If I happen to accidentally set it up backwards, let's say I set it up like this. Okay? If I realize, well, 1 can go into 8 times. That's a whole number. Is this 1/8 a whole number? No, it's a part of a whole. This is a part. That's what a fraction is telling us, that it's 1 of 8 or 1 out of 8. And we need to make sure we're setting it up right. That's why we want to make sure that we know that this means 1 divided by 8, or how many times can 8 go into 1? The answer should always be it can't if it's a proper fraction. That's why we're going to a decimal. So I will have how many times can 8 go into 1. And since it can't, that's where our decimal comes in on top and bottom, and we have to add our zeros. Okay, so that just makes it easier now that I see my zeros, and we can divide as usual. So can 8 go into 1? Nope. And then we subtract, and then I bring down my 0. Can 8 go into 10? Sure can, 1 time. Bring down my other 0. Can 8 go into 20? How many times? Good. And then if I realize that because when we divide, we either have decimals or fractions. Those are our remainders. We don't want to use R anymore. Now that we're in 6th grade, that R, it has a meaning. It has a purpose. I can keep adding as many zeros as I need to till I stop. Well, I know that 8 does go into 45 times as 40, so this would be my equivalent decimal for 1/8. I'm not going to make you go past 2 or 3 digits this year, but I can go on and on and on, especially if I'm changing 1/7, and there are several decimals that could keep going. So, but what I'm going to do is we're going to do one more example. Let's do 11 over 20. Okay, and go ahead and pause the video, work it out, and then we'll check our answers. Okay, hopefully you paused it. Okay, let's see. So we're going to have How many times can 20 go into 11? We are looking for a decimal, therefore I'm going to need a decimal. 20 cannot go into 11, but it can go into 110. It can go in there 5 times, which is 100, and I have 10 left over. Bring down my 0, and 20 can go in there 5 times. That zeroes out. Okay, good luck with your homework and your studying.